It is 80 degrees here in Los Angeles, yet I still wear a turtleneck because it makes me look sophisticated. For as long as the internet has existed, there have been people pulling all kinds of practical jokes on it. But as this information superhighway grew in its capability and complexity, people were able to get more creative, more original with it. And with YouTube dominating the entire space in 2007, this had never been easier, and it started to take on new forms. Here's just one example of one of these online jokes that you probably haven't seen in a while. Ha ha ha! I got you! You clicked on this video knowing what it was going to be about, but still, I got you! Yes, one of the most famous and classic examples of this would of course be the Rickroll. As we all know, its premise is very simple. You create a hyperlink and give it a disguise, some kind of interesting call to action or title that'll incentivize the target to want to click on it. And before they know it, boom, Rick Astley's never gonna give you up. And they have been bamboozled. It is a tradition as old as YouTube itself. In fact, it may be even older. But regardless, it became one of the biggest memes on the internet in 2008 and eventually branched its way beyond the screen out into the real world, becoming featured in movies, protests, infiltrating the MTV Awards, even getting Rick Astley himself involved. It really was, in many respects, a defining moment for YouTube as a community. But unlike other practical jokes from the internet at the time, Rickrolling has a special charm to it that really makes it stand out. And it all has to do with the complete randomness of its nature, as well as the effect it has on its target. Because why? Pranks are meant to be at the expense of the person who's victim to it. Why some random music video to a song that was popular in 1987? Well, keep watching to find out. The answer may surprise you. Okay, I'll stop. You look a little bored. Am I boring you? Do you need a nap? Well, you could always get some lovely, refreshing rest with Manta Sleep, today's sponsor. Everyone's sleeping situation is different. Some people need to completely black out their surroundings, or maybe you're like me and need some kind of white noise to block out that deafening silence. Well, the Manta Sleep Mask is here to help, as it is designed to tailor your sleep needs. Just place it right on and aha! It is completely black. Can't even imagine what this looks like on camera. I have here the Manta Sleep Sound Mask, and it's just a little strap that wraps around the back of your head, making it a one-size-fits-all. But what's really cool is that you can connect your phone to it through Bluetooth and play any kind of sounds you want, whether it's a podcast you fall asleep to, static noise, rain sounds, anything, giving you just the right amount of comfort and inner peace to fall asleep. But I also find it useful for other things too, like meditating. If I'm a bit overwhelmed and just need to collect my thoughts, I'll just sit with my mask and relax. It doesn't take you anywhere, it just keeps you right in the now. And sometimes that's exactly what you need. And by visiting my link or using my code at checkout, you can get 10% off your mask purchase. Yeah, I can tell you're getting tired. Well, you know what to do. Thank you to Manta Sleep for sponsoring this video. Now, the story of the famous Rickroll starts with the man, the myth, the legend. Rick Astley, of course. Never Gonna Give You Up was actually his debut hit. Now, I won't get into the entire history behind the song itself and how it was created, but I will provide some historical context for why it was so popular and how that pertains to its reemergence online. When you watch this music video, what are some of the first things that come to your mind? Flashy, very flamboyant, vibrant, almost gaudy in its appearance, accompanied by a very deep, masculine voice that's completely contrasting in this visual tone. A voice doesn't match the body situation. It's very unexpected and off-putting, but in a charming way. And if you look at many aspects of 1980s pop culture, you will see this style was everywhere. The 80s as a whole were very camp. Now, this could very well apply to other decades too, but the 80s were in a special spot. It had been 20 years since the counterculture and sexual revolution of the 1960s, and so the rules on conformity had really loosened since then, but still had a ways to go until it met the rules and expectations that the world had when Rickrolling showed up. And this consequently created a very unique culture in the 80s that also carried a bit of ambivalence. It was liberal in its attitudes, yet also conservative. Now, this video won't be a whole decadology deep dive into 1980s culture, though if you guys want that, please do leave a comment, but I'll just give you the gist of it. This art form was especially visible in a new genre of music derived from late 70s English punk rock, known as New Wave. New Wave quickly became very popular, sparking what is known by historians as the Second British Invasion. And just like that, this style was now very common in music videos. And Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up, although not nearly as showy as other songs in music videos, did exhibit many of these qualities. The song was a national hit. But of course, as time goes on, the world changes, and so does the culture and the people in it. And by the mid-2000s, obviously things were very different. The 80s were recent enough for young adults to kind of remember it from their childhoods, but long ago enough for them to look back on it and think, oh wow, we dressed like that? We sang those songs? And many of these young adults are now using sites like YouTube. And YouTube, just like every website, takes on internet humor, just in its own way. Just like how you may get duped into clicking on a gross image, now you end up clicking on a prank video. But what is the basic setup of a prank? You find your target, you lure them into doing something that advances the prank by giving them false information, and during the big reveal, you subvert their expectations. You also sort of punish and humiliate them for falling for it in the first place. It is just a prank, brother. And before Rickroll, you had something called the Screamer. Can you pass all the levels to this impossible maze game? Scary ghost face. An ad for a brand new car? Ghostface. It is the perfect bait and switch that not only makes the victim feel stupid, but also punishes them for their own gullibility. And YouTube, the video sharing site, made these very popular, and the site's design at the time allowed for screamers to blend right in with normal videos. Unless they were part of the YouTube Partner Program, an uploader could not choose the thumbnail of their video. Instead, the thumbnail would just be the frame of the exact middle of the video. They also had the option to choose a frame from the first half or the third half, but that was it. Luckily, there was an easy workaround to this though. Go into your video editor and replace the one frame with whatever image you want. It shows up so briefly, it doesn't even interrupt the flow of the video. So now on YouTube, you have videos with some really crazy but interesting thumbnails, just taken from that one frame, even if the rest of the video was complete nonsense. And YouTube's algorithm at the time measured views based on how many clicks a video got. So even if someone clicked on a video, saw that it was fake, and immediately clicked off, they would still count as a view. You now have something called clickbait. And screamers are a sort of sister category to clickbait. And keep in mind, this is also before likes and dislikes were a thing. Instead, you had star ratings, which is a bit more difficult to read if you're not super familiar with the film industry. I mean, who the hell am I, Siskel and Ebert? I sure look like it. The point is, you now have videos like Austin Powers 4 teaser trailer, and it's a picture of Mike Myers' face, and it has a bunch of views, so it has to be legit. And as you're watching it and you're thinking, wait, isn't this from the second movie? Haven't I seen this before? Ghostface. Now you can't even tell the difference between a real and fake video, and everything is just a roll of the dice. But why does it have to be a jump scare? Isn't that kind of mean? Why does the victim of the prank need to be humiliated? Can't a prank just be innocent, like, you got me, and end there? Well, on April Fool's Day of 2007, the founder of 4chan created a basic macro on the site where it replaced the word egg with duck. And so words like egg roll quickly became duck roll. The site thought it was so funny, they even created an image to accompany it. And shortly after, there were hyperlinks everywhere with very interesting titles that would just lead to the duck roll picture. And then the trailer for Grand Theft Auto 4 comes out on Rockstar's website, which ends up crashing because of all the traffic. Refer to the Michael Jackson effect for an explanation on that. But anyway, people naturally start uploading mirrors of it to YouTube. And one kid named Sean Cotter decides to put a little spin on it. The duck roll picture just isn't enough. This is YouTube. It's gotta be a video. And so Sean Googles the top songs from the year he was born, which was 1987. And sure enough, Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up appears. And it's not a jump scare, it's not crude, it's just a music video that's silly and dated enough to tell the viewer that they just got pranked. Instead of duckroll, he calls it rickroll. And so Sean starts sharing links to the GTA 4 trailer that direct them to his upload of the song. And just like that, Rickrolling was born. The original upload still even exists today, at over 95 million views, many of whom undeniably came against their will. But as unique of a scenario this is, there are still earlier examples of Rickrolling. An episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia back in 2005 used the song as comic relief. A caller into a radio station in 2006 played the song on air as a joke instead of talking. Family Guy parodied the song just 5 days after the original Rickroll video was uploaded. There was just a lot of people who understood the novelty this song had as being the quintessential work of all 80s tropes. And great minds think alike, I suppose. Either way, Rickrolling was now a YouTube sensation, coexisting with all those screamer videos, further adding to that unpredictability of which videos were legit and which ones were, well, not so much. It really helped in giving YouTube that no man's land, Wild West feel that the site had at the time. They even put it all over their homepage in April Fools of 2008. But now it was starting to rub off on the real world, too. The San Diego Padres started playing Neil Diamond's Sweet Caroline during a game and replaced the chorus with a Rickroll. The song was even played at a protest for the Church of Scientology. During the 2008 MTV Europe Music Awards, so many people, millions of them, voted for Rick Astley, who was a write-in candidate, that he ended up being the winner. Rick Astley himself even got Rickrolled, and that was actually how he discovered the phenomenon. He clicked on a link thinking it was someone else, but it was just him. Initially, he was just confused and pretty quiet about the whole thing. He felt that capitalizing off of it would just be kind of weird and maybe even inappropriate, so for a good moment he just didn't really do anything until everyone started asking him to. During the 2008 Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, he showed up, singing the song, which made the entire situation even more wholesome than it already was. The guy who was the butt of the joke was now there, having fun with it. And here we are now. The generation that started the Rickroll is now much older, and a new generation has taken over YouTube, the generation once removed. The upload of the very first Rickroll is as old to us now as the release of Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up was to the first Rickroll. Just like how it was with the 80s, a lot has changed since the 2000s. And some people today who aren't exactly familiar with the Rickroll are just gonna look at it and go, what is this? I don't get it. And that's kind of exactly why it exists. Rickroll not only serves as a reminder that not all jokes have to be at the expense of someone's integrity, but that we, as people, do change and will always change, and that we still, even through that, will find ways to relate with each other. Rick Astley himself even talked about this in an interview, and he brings up a very interesting point that I will show here. Have to change that one. It never gets old. At least not for me. But if you are sick of it, there actually is a way you can prevent yourself from ever getting Rickrolled again. Through supporting me on Patreon, patreon.com/nationsquid. You can also buy me a coffee. That's not a Rickroll link because, money. Hey, just trying to help you out. A special thanks to my patrons and channel members for making this video possible. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and click the notification bell so that you never miss a future video.